Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Oh My Gosh, You're Glowing podcast. My name is Lindsey Walker, and I am your host. And this episode has been on my mind, on my heart for a while, and I've even thought about recording it several times, even this week, and wanted to sit down. It's been just like hovering, the energy of this episode has just been hovering in my field. And I finally am just sitting down and doing it. I've made so many excuses not to, but it just really is a story and a message and experience that needs to be shared right now. And I'm actually super, super excited about it. I've been hinting at it since I started the podcast. And I feel like that's another reason why this is so important for me to share and for this story to just be out there because it actually has so much to do about how and why I even created this podcast, how this podcast even came about. It was all during this week. So, if you've listened to any of the previous episodes, you've heard me talk about my dental cavitation surgery. Now, if you don't know what that is, totally fine. I'm going to tell you all about it. But this is also the almost 1 month anniversary of my podcast. Is that a thing? It's the 1 month since the idea actually dropped into my mind. Almost exactly, because my surgery was exactly a month, like 2 days ago. And that week, at the end of the week, is actually when the idea, the download, the clarity to actually do this podcast dropped in like I've never felt anything before. And then that just put me on the roller coaster to do it, to record it, to put it out in less than a week after that clarity came through on that Friday. So we're about a month out from this entire podcast, this project of being created. And it really started, the initiation was me going through this experience of this dental cavitation surgery. It was that week, plus a few other things. So I know I've teased this episode a lot. It is finally here. We are ready to go. And I just got to get it out there. It's something that every time I talk about it, anytime I share about it, anytime I tell anyone about it, they have no idea what I'm talking about. They're very confused. And that's part of the reason why I need to share this because it is so uncommon, unknown. And I actually feel like this could help so many of you. Now, this all started. Okay, let me tell you first about like what dental cavitation surgery is, why I did this, what I got it done on. Okay. So, essentially, it was 14 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Almost again to the day because I got my wisdom teeth out the week before Thanksgiving. Not recommended, but I did. And I got my wisdom teeth out 14 years ago. And I had lots of complications, lots of infections. I'm laughing because after I got my wisdom teeth out, they were so infected and so gross that there was like pus coming out of like the sites because they were just like, it was really, really bad. I think I ate too many mashed potatoes and then they like got stuck in the sites or something. I don't know. I'm sure that was TMI. But if you aren't familiar with the Soul Fam Wellness community, we are TMI around here. So I'm going to tell you all the dirty, disgusting things and all the bodily functions that happen. Okay. It's happening. Okay. So yeah, my wisdom teeth got super, super infected once they took them out, or the sites did. And so I had lots and lots of issues when I got them taken out. But finally, they closed up and we moved on with life. And of course, if you listen to episodes 1 and 2 of this podcast, you heard all about my initial health challenges, all of the things that went on in my body that got me to the point of where I'm at today. Now, I was in a class. Me and my mom actually took this certification, this class. I'm not going to say details because I don't want to talk about the person or the name of it, but we were in a class about 2 years ago. And this woman was talking, it was all about root cause stuff. And she was talking about how she was getting this dental cavitation surgery and talking about it like it was the biggest thing that has ever happened to her life. It was like she was talking about all these other root causes, but then it was like this woman would not shut up about her dental cavitation surgery. And I was like, woman, like, you and your teeth, like, I can't. This whole mouth thing, like, I was over her talking about it. And I just wanted her to get on with all the other things that was in the course. But she spent so much freaking time talking about her damn dental cavitation surgery. And me and my mom were both really, really annoyed at the time. And the funny part was, it was almost like we really needed to hear that. Both of us really needed to hear it. And at the time, we just kind of like totally pushed it off. And we were like, that's your journey, like, lady, whatever. You go do you. And she was talking like it was so life-changing, she wouldn't shut up about it. And it was also she was talking about the people that she went to. I never looked them up. I really didn't listen to her, if I'm being honest. I totally just, like, shoved her off because I was like, "This is so annoying. This is irrelevant." And I was like, "This doesn't apply to everyone. Why are you talking about it?" I think she was getting it done on her root canals. Anyways, fast forward to this year of 2024. And really, it started with my mom, which her and I are going to do an episode about this together because there's some things that I want to share about my experience, but then there's some things that her and I want to talk about, just like the how we felt afterwards, our different experiences, things like that. So earlier this year, she was going through a lot of different health issues and she had tried so many things and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like I've tried so many things. Like what is going on?" And she just had this inkling of an intuitive knowing. She was like, "I really think that there's something going on in my mouth." Like she's like, "You know that lady who talked about all the dental cavitations?" And then it started to come up more and more in her field. What I've noticed is if something is coming up repeatedly in your life, in your field, and you're not necessarily even asking for it or asking about it, it just comes up. It's trying to get your attention. It's trying to tell you something. So this was 100% what was going on with her. And she's like, "No, I just really feel like this is something that I need to pay attention to." She's like, "Nobody is picking it up." She was even asking like her naturopaths and these other doctors, like, do you think I have this dental cavitation issue?" They're like, "No, no, like you're sure it's fine." And she was like, "No, I just feel like there is a problem." So she finally books an appointment with these people who are actually in Texas. And because they're like the number one recommended people to go to if you are going to get this particular procedure. They are like so well known. I will tell everyone, if you are even thinking about getting this checked, 100% go to these people. It is Dr. Nunley Freeman Owens and Dorsey in Marble Falls, Texas. I have zero like affiliation with them. I mean, obviously I went to them, but it's not like they know I'm like, talking about them or promoting them or anything like that. But I just truly, truly loved the experience so much. And for me to love a surgical procedure experience is weird. It's not normal. We'll go into that. But if you're going to go to anyone, if you feel like this is something that you need to look into, 110% go to them. Yes, even if you live out of state. They have people all over the world that fly to them. So anyway, she goes to them. They end up doing the scan and everything, and they're like, "Yes, you do have this problem. Yes, we do need to go ahead with this procedure." And she went off and did it. Now, most dentists thinks this is crazy. Most dentists won't even check for this, and there are some states that actually quote unquote get in trouble for looking for this because they don't actually think it's a problem. So, if you are someone that has your wisdom teeth out already removed, if you have your wisdom teeth in your mouth, keep them there. You don't need to remove them. They will just cause problems. If you have already had your wisdom teeth removed, and this is whether you had issues with the removal or not. And I say this because I had issues, like I told you, the infections after I got my wisdom teeth removed. I had severe infections, tons of issues. My mom had nothing, no issues, no problems, no infections when she got them removed. And she went to go get hers checked. And sure enough, there were infections in the sites. This can also happen if you've had a root canal. If you've had a root canal, I also highly recommend getting checked if this is something that resonates with you. And I will just make a blanket statement for this entire episode. This is not medical advice. I am not a doctor. I am not a dentist. This is from my own personal experience. This is all my own personal opinions and beliefs, and from my own personal experience going through this. But from what I have heard, so both of us went through this procedure for our wisdom teeth sites. They also do this for root canals. And what happens is your wisdom tooth sites where they took the teeth out can get infected. And now there are toxins, bacteria, parasites, all kinds of things that can get stuck in those sites. And what happens is there's like this when your body goes to heal after they've removed the teeth, and there are, foreign substances that get stuck when it's healing, it can trap those toxins, those foreign substances, the parasites, the bacteria, all of the things that, because if there's not air getting to it, the way she explained it is as it's healing, it's like creating this pocket to heal up that hole that they left when they took out the tooth. And she said, this is from the dentist that I went to, and Dr. Owens, and she said that originally the thought process was that the body would actually get to it from underneath, and if there were any toxins, to heal it from there. But she said that's actually not what's been happening. They've found is it kind of encapsulates. This can happen. It reminds me of when people have breast implant illness too, because if something is going on, the toxins from the actual breast implants start to leak, your body is going to encapsulate and try to protect your body from the toxins that may be leaching. So the same thing can happen in your wisdom tooth sites. If there's infection, if there's toxins, then it will start to encapsulate that site while it's trying to heal. But now what happens is inside that encapsulated site, you now have all of those toxins, bacteria, parasites, whatever got trapped in there, and they can't escape. They can't get out. So there's tons of reasons why this is important. One, now you have trapped toxins, trapped bacteria, things that are now causing immense stress on your body. And even if you are trying to detox, because I've done tons and tons and tons of different detoxes over the years, and I even use binders that break through the cell walls. Well, clearly it didn't break through enough. And if your body's really trying to protect itself, it's not going to allow anything into those pockets. So if you have this, you are now going to continue to attract other toxins and just toxins in general because you have a constant frequency of toxins, parasites, bacteria, whatever is in these sites. That's one reason. Another reason why this isn't super important to address is because your teeth, every single tooth in your mouth is connected to an organ. If you look up like tooth chart on the internet, you'll see that every single tooth is connected to a different organ in your body. Most regular dentists won't tell you this, but the dentist that I went to, the one in Marble Falls, they have the tooth chart sitting on the wall. It's plastered on the wall in their office. And the interesting thing is, the wisdom teeth sites are connected to the intestines and the heart. I'm pretty sure it's the small intestine. And if you are someone that has been challenged with digestive or intestinal issues, intestinal discomfort, this could be a connection. And I say this because this was the connection for me. So we're going to go back because I feel like I kind of got down a rabbit hole, and I'm telling this as succinctly as possible, but there's just so much about this story and it's coming from all angles. And I'm telling it because this was my experience. I feel like there are so many more people out there that are actually dealing with this and don't realize they're dealing with it, don't know it's a problem, don't even know to go get checked. And from my experience, it's been so profound and so healing that I just feel like other people need to have this awareness. Now, if you've never had your wisdom teeth out and you don't have any root canals, it's not a problem. But the fact that your teeth connect to other organs in your body or connect to organs in your body in general, I feel like it's just super helpful to even know, because you can have these connections in your body and know like, hey, if there's like a certain tooth that is really bothering you, you can go look at the teeth chart and see which organ it's connected to and then say, hey, this organ might be needing some extra support. It's calling out for support and it's showing up in your mouth, in your teeth. So just a good awareness to have, even if you're not someone that maybe this particular surgical procedure applies to. So anyways, my mom went and got this procedure, and they found this to be something that she needed to do, even though she didn't have problems when she got her wisdom teeth out. My mom was like, you gotta go get checked. Like, you had all these infections, like, for sure you have this problem. And I was like, yeah, probably. But I was avoiding it for a really long time for multiple reasons. I also really don't like medical, surgical, anything. I've been gaslit. I've had lots of negative experiences in the medical field in the past as a patient, and I really wanted to avoid that. I didn't want to go back. And, this is something that is medically necessary, but essentially voluntary. Like, you're going to go get checked. And I was like, I don't want to go get checked for a medical procedure. That sounds terrible. But eventually something just told me, oh, actually, no. This is what finally got me there. I forgot about this. I had a client session. I did a reading on her. It was another person I was doing a reading for. And one of the things that came up, she was having similar things going on with her jaw. I don't remember the exact specifics. And during her reading, there was just something that told me that there could be something going on with her mouth as far as toxins, potentially dental cavitations. And there was just a message of like, hey, this is something that you could potentially look into. But as I was saying the message, I was like, this is for me too. Like, this is totally a message for me to go get your freaking teeth checked, because I was avoiding it. And so sometimes in readings, in sessions with clients, yes, the messages are for them, but sometimes like I just know that as I'm saying it, it's like it's for me too. So I got off that call. I think this was in the beginning of August, if I remember correctly. The beginning of August or beginning of September. No, I actually think it was the beginning of September. It was very recent. And I got off this call and I was like, wow, I feel like that message was really for me. Like, yes, it was for her, but it was really, really for me. So soon, like that week, I submitted my paperwork. I got the appointment scheduled and went and got them checked. I think it was in September. So maybe I did this in August. I don't know. Anyways, it was pretty recent. I think September is when I went and got them checked. And sure enough, they were like, yes, 3 out of your 4 sites are infected. And what happens is, another reason why this is important to address is if there is those toxins sitting in those pockets, that bacteria will start to eat away at your bones. So all your jaw bones, if you let it sit there, it's going to continue to eat at and basically like rot away your jawline, your bones in your jaw. And this could be if you have root canals anywhere too. So that's another reason why this is super important to address if this is an issue that you have, because now it's going to start to impact your jaw bones. And then if the bones in your jaw are struggling, in general, it's going to impact your body, your bones. So sure enough, they found 3 out of the 4 sites to be a problem and recommended the dental cavitation surgery for me, where it's essentially where they open up the sites, a very small incision. They open up the sites, they clean it out, they clean out all the toxins that are in there. They ozonate it, they cleanse it, they like clean it out in like 50 different ways. And then take your own platelets from your blood and then pack it with your own platelets so that you heal so much faster. And when I did it, they described the platelets as being like your own personal glue, like from your body to really glue together back those spots that were then, taken out from the toxins. And it's a very, very small hole that they have the incision. So anyways, they recommended the procedure for me and I just scheduled it right away. And it was one of those things where I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not excited about it, but I just felt like this was important for me to do. So I think I had a less embodied response to scheduling it. It was just like, I know I need to do this. Let me not think about it too long and I'll just get it scheduled. And funny enough too, if you know anything about the energetics of the body, 2 of the 3 sites were on the left side. So it was top and bottom left and then top of my right. And it's just funny for me because, and I think I mentioned this in like episode 1 of the podcast when I was talking about some of my health challenges, everything is always on my left side. And I'm very much working through the feminine energy, and feminine is on represents the or your left side represents the feminine. So every time I have any kind of health issue, it's always on the left side. It's just like more and more confirmation, yes, to be working on the feminine energy in my body, in my life. And of course, where does this show up? The majority of it is on my left side. So it's just more and more confirmation of things I already knew, things I'm already working on. So I go ahead and schedule it basically as fast as I can. And this is the part that I didn't expect the lessons to come out of. And this is what I really felt called to share this experience. So I felt really confident about going to these people. They are the nicest people literally on planet Earth, the nicest people I've ever met in any type of medical field, which is why if you ever consider doing this or ever even consider looking into if this is something that you need to address, 110% I will only ever recommend this particular dentist office. Dr. Nunnally Freeman Owens and Dorsey in Marble Falls, Texas. Yes, even if you live outside of Texas, even if you don't live in the US, I'm not even kidding. They are truly the best. They are the nicest people. They have just like the biggest hearts, and they truly are there to help people. And when you're going through any type of medical procedure at all you want to feel is safety. You want to feel that the people that are there cutting you open are there to help you, heal you. Well, heal you in a loose term. I'm not sure if that's the right wording, but really there to keep you safe and want the best interest for you. And I say that because I have experienced so much gaslighting from people in the medical field of telling me what I'm feeling isn't right, telling me what I am experiencing isn't real, telling me that, you know, everything is my fault and I'm just making it all up in my head. I mean, I've experienced all kinds of things. And especially in like surgical procedures, when I got my wisdom teeth out, I felt like there was so much pain going on that I was borderline addicted to the pain medication that they gave me because I just didn't want to feel it anymore. And there was so much pain attached to the experience and the procedure and everything that I didn't have any good feelings about medical procedures and surgical procedures, like all of that. I avoid the dentist. I also get gaslit at the dentist all the time. They gaslight me for not wanting to use fluoride. This is like at regular dentist. They've gaslit me for not wanting to use fluoride, for bringing in my own toothpaste because I didn't like the toothpaste that they were using or the cleaning supplies that they are using, because I've literally looked at the packages and they have like red dye number 40 or yellow dye number whatever, number 5. And they question me, like they're like, "Oh, are you allergic to fluoride? Why don't you want to use these things?" And I'm like, "No, it's toxic for you. Like I don't want to use them because they're bad for you." And and I also never want to tell any kind of dentist that I have any like hot spots or anything in my mouth if it's come up, because in the past, I've just known for people to, drill for gold or like find a problem. Like if you give them one kind of inkling of an issue, they're like, well, we're going to find something. You've given us, something to work with. We're going to find it. So I go to the dentist previously and I'm just like, nope, I'm good. Even if there was one tiny little thing that I was feeling, I would never tell them because I had such fear that they would not actually have my best interests at heart, that they would just do what they felt like they needed to do from a medical standpoint, which was usually drill, dig holes, and then probably gaslight me for whatever I said. So that was my experience with dentists. And this one actually I felt so different. I felt safe. I felt comfortable. They explained everything really well. There's just a different energy in the room. Like you can feel it when you walk in. You can feel it from the front desk staff. You can feel it from all the hygienists. You can feel it from everyone in that place. That actually makes you want to go back and get support, get help that you need, and not run away from whatever they're going to say. So I felt really safe, really comfortable booking this particular procedure. And this particular procedure sent me on a journey of lessons that I truly, didn't see coming. And my mom was gracious and nice enough to come out to really just support me through my few days of recovery and healing, which it's not a huge deal, but someone to make you some really nice food is really great. So I was super grateful for her to come out. And so she came out. We drove up together the night before. And funny enough, that night is actually when I think I mentioned it in the last episode. That's actually when Megan Mercer told me that I won the giveaway for her retreat, for her Frequency 2.0 retreat. So it was like there was so many things that just started to like fall into place to confirm like, hey, you're meant to do this. Hey, you're fully supported in doing this. I think I booked the hotel, which the hotel ended up being shitty, but it's fine. It worked. It had its place. But I booked it at like 11:11, like unconsciously, like I didn't even pay attention to the time. And then I got the timestamp of booking. It was 11:11. And so I'm driving up to this event, or not, I'm driving up to the place before the night before for my procedure. Megan tags me in the giveaway for her retreat that's happening 2 weeks from then, which was just crazy. And then the morning of, I was feeling really, really good. And then the morning of, I could just feel my intestines like irritated, inflamed, just really, really unhappy. And I had not been feeling that. I had been feeling really good. And it was like that morning, I think it was really a combination of emotions and energy, just like feeling that nervousness. But it also really felt like, because I knew that the wisdom teeth were connected to the intestines. And it just felt like that connection, it was almost like my body was telling me like, hey, this connection is actually super, super important. And my body was truly detoxing a lot before this procedure, like at 5 a.m. My procedure was at 7, so I was up early. And I don't know why, but I have this really weird fear. It happened at my wedding too. Again, super strange, very TMI, but I have this weird fear with like events and apparently surgical procedures that like if I don't poop in the morning, then I'm going to like freak out and like have to poop at this event or something, or I'm like not going to be able to go to the bathroom. It's really weird, I know. But I had that same fear of like, oh my God, I like hope I go to the bathroom in the morning so that I don't have to do this like right before the procedure or during. Like, I don't know. It's really strange. So there was like a combination of that. And then my body was like very much trying to like get rid of things and like detox. And my intestines were like super inflamed. I was like, I just like do not feel well. And I'm going into this procedure like feeling like total shit. I was like, great. Like, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't eat. You're not supposed to drink water. You're up at 5 a.m. to go. And it's a conscious sedation that they put you under. So it's not full sedation, but it's still a sedation of some kind. So I could just feel the nerves in my body. What was really interesting about this experience was when I got there, and even the morning of, mentally speaking, I felt really good. Like I was really safe. I was really confident in this. I was actually like excited to get this done. But my body did not feel that excitement. There was like this knowing, this maybe not knowing. It was like this experience that was happening in my body, this remembering of, oh, in the past when we've gone to a medical procedure, when these things have happened, like something negative has always come out of it. And it was like my body was reacting to that previous experience of being in a similar type of scenario, a similar type of place. But mentally, I was like, no, 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 I'm safe. I'm good. I'm confident. Like these people are here to really hold me and take care of me. And so it was weird because mentally and physically, I was having two different experiences. My body was like totally like shit hitting the fan, literally. And my mind was saying, like, no, it's fine. Like, you're safe. You're good. So I get there and they do this, well, they call it acupressure. I don't, it's a whole culmination of things. I felt like I went to some acupressure slash nervous system slash energy work, but not energy work slash, I don't even know what else she did. Masterclass at like literally 7 a.m. That's what they start you with, which was lovely. It was amazing. This woman is so knowledgeable, so cool, so fun. This like older woman. She has so many stories to tell, so many experiences. And literally at 7 a.m., she's just like dumping all of this information on me. And it was the coolest thing. But also I was like, what is happening? But during whatever the heck she did, they call it acupressure. I don't know if it's actually acupressure, but it was great. It was very calming. And I felt so good. Like finally I could like feel my nervous system, my body just like calming down. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like we can get through this. I'm good. And it was like as soon as she said, okay, they're ready for you, it was like a flip of a switch. It was just like, bam, stressed out again. And my body just like this energy just like got sent through my body and my stomach. And it was like, all the stressors, all the tension just like shot up again. And I could just feel my mind going, why? We were good. We were calm. We are no longer calm. And they actually do that. They do the acupressure appointment at the beginning to really help your body relax because they know that surgical procedures can be really stressful for people and they don't want to just send them into a procedure being super fucking stressed out. So they purposefully do this ahead of time to calm you. And it worked until like the last second. And I was like, oh my God, no. So I walked down the hallway and I could just like feel my intestines. I was like, oh my God, they're so irritated. They're so inflamed. Like my body was just having this visceral freak out reaction. And I like asked to go to the bathroom again. Again, my body is like detoxing more. And I just knew I was getting this download, this message, this knowing of like that you need to know how connected this is. Because I had not been having any intestinal issues or not nearly to this extent previously or like recently, like right before this procedure. I've done so many detoxing, so many things to really rebalance and harmonize and detox my body. So I really had not been having these issues. And the reason why I booked this procedure is just one from my mom's experience and seeing her, really get a lot out of it. And then just from like an inner knowing of like, you have to do this. Like, I don't know what it's connected to, but there's just something here. Like, you just have to do it. So most people would be like, oh, did you have like, pain in your mouth, pain in your teeth? No. But I will say I went to go take a dental tox homeopathic and I was like, oh, let me try and like detox some stuff out before the surgery. Yeah, bad idea. That did make my gums really irritated and hurt. And, I had some like lymph backup in my jaw and my neck and things like a couple years ago. But in that moment, it wasn't terrible. So it was almost like the morning of, it was like, my body was like, I want to show you how connected this really is. And so it was also that mixed with my body's like visceral reaction from being in this experience of having a surgical procedure and having previous times go really negatively. And it was almost like this experience, I needed to heal that story of medical procedures being bad, of the medical field all being bad. And I needed to heal it with people that actually had my best interests at heart, that actually were not gaslighting me, that actually were doing the procedure as clean as possible and taking toxins out of my body. Like I needed this experience to heal that story in my body. But my body was having this visceral reaction in that morning. So much so that I went and sat in the chair to start prepping for the entire procedure. They come in and, they're drawing blood. They're, I don't know, putting all kinds of things on me. And it was definitely cold in the office. And I thought it was just the cold, but I literally could not get my legs to stop shaking. And at first I thought it was just me being cold. I asked for another blanket and like it was just like this visceral reaction of like my body just shaking constantly. I couldn't get it to stop. And it was, I learned later that when your body's really trying to get energy out, it can physically start to move and shake. And that was what my body was doing. Like my nervous system was trying to re-regulate itself. My body was just getting this energy out. And they eventually did leave me alone for a while. They give you a vitamin C IV and just kind of like let you chill, or they at least did for me. I don't know if they do this everyone, but they just let me chill for a little bit before we got started. And they turned off the lights and left, and I was there by myself. And I just allowed myself in that moment, as my legs were shaking and I'm freaking the fuck out, to be like, okay, this is just an experience. This is an experience that you chose. This is an experience that's going to be very healing for you. This is just an experience. And I had to sit there and tell myself that over and over again, which sounds crazy, I'm sure. As I'm like staring up at the ceiling, I like start to just like close my eyes and tell my body that I'm safe. Tell my body that this is an experience so that I can continue or begin to relax. Because at this time my legs are just going nonstop and I couldn't stop them. And after a few minutes, after really telling myself, like, you're safe, this is just an experience, you're okay, I finally got to a point where like my body had kind of like shaken everything out and my nervous system did start to relax and calm. And I think I just needed that time. Like, I'm really glad that they did give me that time by myself. I don't know if they always do that, if they just saw I needed that, because my nerves were all over the place. But telling myself, this is just an experience. And I felt like sometimes like that mind body disconnection that I had that morning of like my mind knowing, hey, I'm safe, and my body feeling the exact opposite. That was why I felt like I was like trying to create new neural pathways, like to tell my body, hey, I'm safe. My mind knows that this is a good place to be in, and my body is having a different reaction. So it felt like that was the experience that I was needing to have in that moment for me to get through it. So they finally like come in and start the procedure and everything. And it was so weird because I knew it was a conscious sedation, which, by the way, before they started, they even prayed over me. And it was just like, I felt really good about being there with the people that I was there with, which was so, so helpful. Like, you don't always get that, I feel like, especially at least in my personal experience with medical procedures, with dentists, things like that. You don't always get that feeling of safety. You don't always get, like, I've never had any dentist or doctor pray over me, and I thought that was amazing. And I just felt like whatever was here to happen, like, I was protected in the physical and the spiritual realm. And so it's conscious sedation. And so they're like, okay, like, we're going to give it to you. And like, you're just going to like relax. And because I was like, well, I've had full on sedation, but I've never had conscious sedation. So I'm literally sitting there like, how is this going to feel? Like, when am I going to remember? And I'm like consciously like trying to stay there, like trying to stay like in the room and stay present, which is just really funny because my mom had a very different experience. She was like, check the fuck out. She was like, I know it's supposed to be conscious, but like, I don't know where I went. And I felt like I was like sort of in the room. It was like, it was almost like a breathwork experience where like you dip out sometimes, but you're like, no, I was here the whole time. But then you're like, wait, but there's things that I don't totally remember. Like, I think I traveled. I think I went somewhere. And that was like the same thing with this one where I remembered most of what happened, and I actually even heard them saying like the amount, like the measurements of some of the like sites that the toxins in the sites that they took out. Because the next day she told me the numbers, and I was like, I heard you guys say that yesterday, like when I was out. And I like felt pressure of them like taking stuff out, but nothing was like painful. So that was like a really trippy experience, really strange, really interesting, but you know, pain-free for them. Like, I didn't like feel them do anything. So it was good. So, you know, went through my day, they take you out of it. And, my mom had been like, I don't know, bopping around town doing all kinds of stuff while I was there. She comes to get me. And I'm like, I feel like I'm there, but she took a picture of me. I like have it on Instagram if you saw it, of me like very much not. I was like out of it. I was not there, but I felt like I was there. And it was an interesting experience like coming out of it. And they did give me some pain meds just to, well, I asked them to. They asked if I wanted it and I said yes. And I think that just really helped me like come out of the experience without having to have like, a ton of immediate pain. And so, I like went about my day. The funny part was um I had so I'm in this mastermind called the Vortex, and the mastermind had actually, it's an all week mastermind, it's quarterly. And it had actually gotten moved to that specific week. And the all day one, or like the longest one, got moved to the day of my surgery. Originally, it was supposed to be the previous week, which is why I scheduled my surgery then. But I couldn't get it to move. Like it ended up just like being on that week. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I ended up joining the call that was like late in the evening. And I'm like, I've just had this entire surgery. I feel like I'm feeling pretty good. Like I was like very calm and chill, but like I didn't feel anything yet. So I was like, I'm good. Like I'm going to join this mastermind today and like, we're going to just vibe out. It'll be totally fine. So I like find this really cool spot at the hotel. It's like overlooking this lake, small lake, and join this mastermind at like 6 o'clock at night, 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And it's like halfway through, it's like 6:30, and all of a sudden my teeth or like my gums, like the sides just start to be completely on fire. And I'm like, holy shit, I am in so much pain. So I literally joined this mastermind call for my business after the day of surgery. It was an experience. I remember most of it. But the funny part was, so there was an entire week of this masterminding. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to show up for as much as I possibly can. I just had this surgery. I'm feeling pretty good. Like I just had to eat some soups and smoothies. And, I was like, I just felt like really calm. My energy was just really calm. I would always have this just like buzzing energy in my body. And it kind of just like took that out initially. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to join this mastermind and just receive. I'm not going to be on camera the whole time. I'm just going to like chill out and receive and listen. And that was my intention for the whole week because of the surgery. And I get to the very last day, Friday. And again, I'm like sitting at the kitchen table at this point, just listening, just, hearing what people are talking about. And someone's asking about a podcast and like they have an idea of a podcast and all these things. And my mentor, Shoshana, is the one talking in the mastermind. And she's saying like, podcasting can be a great way to do long form content. And it was literally like the biggest light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I need. Like, this is what I've been looking for. I've wanted to do a podcast for so long, but there was just like all these things stopping me, all these things from like, you have to do it this way. You have to have an intro. You have to have this thing. I don't know, all these things. And I was like, I don't have time for that. That sounds like a lot of work. That's too much project. That's too much of a production. So I didn't do it. And then there was something that she said to someone else's question. And I was just like, oh my God, that's it. Like, as I was in this receiving mode, now remember I told you the two of the sites were on my left side and I'm working on my feminine, which is a lot of receiving. And there I am receiving all week with someone else's question. And I get this clarity of it's time to do a podcast. Like it's time to start. It's going to be your long form content. It's going to be the way that you just communicate and talk and speak without a fucking filter and just share all these stories and experiences and teachings and things that are on your mind. And it came from that week of me being in that surgery. And I had cleared my calendar for this week besides the mastermind. But I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even want this surgery to be that week. What if it wasn't? What if I maybe didn't make all those calls? I wasn't as present. I wasn't as much in that receiving. Like everything just fell into place so much. And that is where the clarity for this podcast even started. So that's why this is so connected. And I just felt like so many things have started to like reshuffle, but like fall into place after having this particular procedure. And I share this for multiple reasons because one, if this surgery, this procedure potentially applies to you, my personal opinion, no medical advice whatsoever. My personal opinion is, oh my God, go get it yesterday, like today, now, go. Because it's so important. And two, you just never know when the inspiration is going to strike. You don't know, for me, looking at that week and having that procedure and then having that mastermind and having my parents in town and all these things, I was like, oh my God, that's not how I wanted that week to go. But that's how I was meant to receive all of that. And then also detoxing and clearing out physical toxins out of your body, one, it's going to raise your vibration 100% because toxins are a lower vibration. And you never know what it's going to be directly connected to. So I also have not had that irritation feeling, that really inflamed feeling like I had in my intestines, like right before surgery. I kid you not. That is the last time. It's been a month. I will admit it's only been a month, but that is the last time I have had any severe inflammation in my intestines. And it was right before surgery, which is why it was such a confirmation to be like, this is connected. This is important. You need to know that this is why this is so important for you to do it. This is the body connection that you have been feeling minorly, but we're going to amplify it right before you have the surgery so you can really know and feel it. Now, the other thing is your face is connected. There's a face chart. If you Google face chart, something like that. Right here, if you're watching on video, you can see me. And it's like my cheeks, the bottom of my cheeks. My cheeks are a little red right now, only because I have this very bright light staring at me. And it gets a little warm. But this is the spot in the lower cheek area that's also connected to your intestines. And this spot would flare up and get really irritated often, especially when I would fly and be on airplanes. There's just a lot of EMFs, there's a lot of radiation, there's a lot of toxins in the air, and just there's lots of energy, maybe like energetic toxins going on. And I would always get really, really inflamed, especially when flying. I have flown once and I was so shocked at how my face actually looked. I looked bright. I looked, clear. There wasn't all this like redness on my face. And this has been, since the procedure of getting the toxins all cleaned out of my teeth sites. And the biggest thing that has happened recently, and, before I say this, is sometimes when you have some kind of experience and you're like, wow, how did I not know it was going to heal or solve like XYZ? Gosh, if I would have known, I would have done that like 4 years ago or however long it would have applied to. And part of me thought that for a minute. And then I thought about all of the lessons and all of the experiences and all of the things that I've learned because I've had certain challenges, physical challenges in my body that have led me to so many different things in my life that if I didn't have that particular health challenge, it would not have led me to those experiences. It would not have led me to those lessons in my life that ultimately needed to be learned before it's like we brought in the thing that really cleared it out. Now, this is in relation personally to really painful periods. I've been dealing with this for years and it's like on, off, on, off, on, off. And it's like it'll get better. I'll like do a bunch of detoxing or I'll do a bunch of energy work or emotional release or just like spiritual connection. This is one particular health challenge, painful periods, that I have looked at for years and at so many different angles. I can't even tell you how many. Like I've done physical detoxing my body because toxins 100% they affect your entire body, but definitely your hormones, your reproductive system, all of those things. If you're bogged down with physical toxins and you are struggling with any type of hormonal reproductive health issues, detox 100%. I've done so much of that. I've done so much emotional release, of energy release, that there's been a lot of energy that's been sitting in that area from past relationships, just from past experiences, all kinds of things. I've worked a lot on my heart space, which in turn can have a very direct connection to your reproductive system. I've done so many spiritual healings. I've done so much energy work. I've done so many things. The most recent one is really getting more in touch with my feminine energy, with receiving, with being grateful and having gratitude for having a cycle, for being a woman with a cycle, for really honoring that time in my body and having this cyclical life, I've literally looked at this from every single angle possible. And there was still an element of it's been better, it's getting better, but there's still something that is making this a challenging 4 days out of my month. And also my actual cycle itself was really, really short. It was consistent but short, and I was kind of like, oh well. I've had 2 periods since this surgery. It's been 1 full cycle. The funny part was one of my period came right after that surgery. Now for women, your period and bleeding is actually a detox pathway because you think about it, you are releasing from your body and you can release toxins. You're also releasing energy from that space, all kinds of things. But it's a process of shedding and releasing every single month. And so it was just so divinely timed that my period came literally right after this surgery. It was like a couple days. And I just felt like it was just like this additional shedding, detoxing process that my body was taking me through right after. Because yes, the procedure itself cleaned out the spots and cleaned out the toxins, and they cleanse it out so well. But now your body has released toxins it's been holding on to. Think about how many other toxins in your body that maybe were getting held on to because that frequency was in your mouth. And now they can finally let go because that frequency, that continuous toxin frequency that was in your mouth is no longer there anymore. So it's just another way for me to detox. And that one went so well. There was no pain. There was no, like, I would have such pain that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stand. I would like just be laying down the whole first day. It was terrible. I would never sleep. And then finally, that's why I waited to record this podcast, because I really just wanted to see like how my body shifted and changed even after a month after having this procedure. And I'm like finishing off my latest period in this cycle. And the best thing that happened is that there has been no pain at all whatsoever. Like truly, I was like excited to have my period, which is very, very weird for me. I have like been dreading it. We would plan vacations around it so that I wouldn't have a period on vacation. And when it's irregular, that's very challenging. And it was also longer than usual. Usually it would go anywhere from like 21 to 23 days. And then most recently, I think it was like 26 or 27 days, which I have not had a 26 or 27 day cycle in like, I don't know, since high school. I'm not kidding. Like it's been a really long time. And I finally, for like the longest time, had a cycle and had a period that I actually enjoyed. And I was truly, truly grateful. I'm not trying to force gratitude for it, but I actually just enjoyed the time to slow down. I enjoyed the time to like step away from social media. I wanted to record like a podcast episode, but I was like, I don't want to get on camera. Like I don't want to be, and that was me honoring my feminine energy. I don't want to be in like a public setting in like this camera setting. I didn't want to be in this outward energy. I wanted to go inward. And I allowed myself to do it and I enjoyed it. And honestly, that was like, it's been like the biggest gift. And 100% intuitively, I can tell you that having this particular surgery for me, for my experience, was a huge impact on this. But part of me wanted to say like, gosh, I wish I would have done this so much sooner. I could have had so much better periods for all these years. But the reason why I don't actually feel that way is because I would have never been guided to so much detoxing throughout the rest of my body. I might not have been guided towards emotional healing and clearing out energetic and emotional toxins, really heaviness from that area, from my body. There's a lot of spiritual healing that I did in connection with my reproductive system, with hormones, with my feminine energy, and also the recent thing that I talked about, and leaning into my feminine energy and leaning into that receiving, leaning into that relaxing energy and being that cyclical woman, even when it was challenging for me. I was even playing with, I would I didn't do it this last time, but the past, I think 3 or 4 cycles, I even honored myself by buying myself flowers, and that was super healing for me. That was just like an invitation for me to, you know, honor my body and, you know, buying myself flowers was like I've never done that. I've always like received flowers from someone else. And so even having that experience, like I wouldn't have necessarily had all of these experiences if that health challenge, if those painful periods had not been such a big part of my life, because I was always trying to figure out like, what is the next thing? What is the next thing that my body is really asking me to do to heal this? But truly, this has been like one of the best results that I've had from this particular surgery. Now, I can't say that like that's going to impact everyone, but my point is you don't know. And that's the same thing with detoxing. So even if you're like, I never got my wisdom teeth out, I don't have root canals, this particular surgery, this particular procedure does not apply to me. This is the same thing that happens when you detox your body physically, when you open your drainage pathways, when you get toxins out of your body, when you reduce your toxin load from an exposure and just from a drainage standpoint. You never know what symptoms and what sensations that your body has been going through that are actually impacted by clearing out your physical vessel. So, yes, in this particular instance, for me, it was cleaning out physically my wisdom teeth sites from all these toxins. But toxins can be anywhere in your body. They can just hang out in your cells, they can hang out in your bloodstream, they can be anywhere. And so, cleansing and clearing out your body and detoxing physically, this does the same thing. You don't have to have surgical procedures to do it. That's just my personal recent example. But I've been doing this for years as well. And it's just like every single layer you clean out and cleanse is going to reveal more of who you truly are and not have all of these external heavy layers clouding your true body, your true self. And that's why I do this work. That's why I lead clients through that. That's why when people come to me, we not only clear out your physical vessel, but your emotional and energetic and spiritual. There's there's really something so healing about cleansing in so many different ways. And cleansing your physical body can also impact your intuitive abilities, your intuitive abilities to trust yourself, to listen to your intuition more. And also clearing out your energetics, your emotional body can really help your physical body, can help that healing, you can feel healing in your physical body and feel stronger in your physical body from doing the energetic, emotional, spiritual work, and then vice versa. And the last thing I'll say about this is I think I mentioned it a little bit in the last episode when I was talking about the Frequency 2.0 retreat. So I did that. So there was 2 weeks apart from the surgical procedure and then the retreat. And when I was at the retreat, there was a breathwork event. Well, we did breathwork there. And I felt so much energy releasing from my body, from this site and the left side in particular, during the breathwork session. And it felt so connected to those wisdom teeth sites being cleared out from that procedure. And what it felt like when I was in this session, when I was in this breathwork session, was the physical toxins got cleansed out from that procedure. And then in that breathwork session, it was as if one, my lymph started to actually move. I could feel my lymphatic system moving in my neck, in my jaw during the session and after I was even still moving it. Like I could truly physically feel it. So one, it was like a lot of clearing and cleansing from my lymphatic system, but also there was so much emotional energy attached to so much energy from these sites, from these toxin buildups from the past 14 years. Because I've done a ton of emotional work, a ton of energy work, like I've just been talking about. But allowing yourself to release physical toxins, also, it was like a seal that got broken and allowed the emotional waterfall to come out too. And it was specifically tied to those 14 years of that toxin buildup. in my mouth. And I felt like there was so much of that, so much tied to the feminine energy, so much tied to me speaking my truth, of confidence, of so many things that I've been dealing with for the last 14 years. And actually, like, as I'm saying this, which is kind of crazy, so this is November. I'm going to date this podcast. It's November 2024 right now. Pluto just moved into Aquarius for the next like 19, 20 years. It's been in Capricorn for the last, I think, 16 years. I had these, which, oh my God, I'm like gonna get chills. I had the toxins and all the things in my wisdom teeth. It's been for 14 years. So not the entirety of those 16 years, but okay, 14 of the 16 years. And it just feels like right now with like clearing those out and like the connection to this new energy as we're moving into Aquarius, it feels like there's just this connection of this releasing that last iteration of my life, releasing those last 14 years, 16 years of that energy that got built up in my body that's really no longer serving me. So when you are wanting to up level your life, when you're wanting to up level yourself to the next thing, whether that is physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, it's not always that exact field that you need to play in. So what I mean by that, if I'm wanting to up level myself mentally or spiritually, or you're having a spiritual awakening and you're like, I'm looking for that next level in my life. Sometimes, yes, it is about, if you're looking to up level yourself mentally, sometimes it is about going into the limiting beliefs that you have and like really working on your mental space. But sometimes it could be you focusing on your physical body and cleansing out your physical body. And as you release the physical toxins, you're actually going to have better connections in your mind, in your brain, to rewire your mind, to rewire those limiting beliefs and release the limiting beliefs and rewire yourself with new neural pathways. When people just focus on the spiritual, when people just focus on the mental and then forget about the physical body, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. You're here in a physical body to experience Earth as a human. You have to take care of your physical body. You can't just be this spiritual person. I was going to say guru, but that's not what I want. This spiritual person, there's this massive spiritual awakening happening on Earth right now. And so more and more and more people are having their spiritual awakening. And now people are becoming more aware to the unseen. But you can't forget about your physical vessel, your physical body. That physical body that you have it is your connection to source, is your connection to your higher self, to whoever you believe in, whoever you connect with, that higher power, your intuition. It comes from your body. And if you forget about your body and let your physical body just be full of toxic shit, think about a trash can. A trash can is not going to have a great physical connection to source. It's full of trash. We need to cleanse it out and allow your body to be this cleansed, clear vessel. That is not just energetic or emotional or spiritual. That is also physical. That means taking care of yourself. That means moving your body. That means eating high quality, nutrient dense foods. That means detoxing the toxins in your body. All of it matters. All of it impacts your life. So if you've been just focusing on one of those lenses that I talked about, and you still feel like there's something missing, it's because there is. It's because you haven't been looking at your entire life and your entire body in this full picture lens. So if this resonates, or just something really got activated in you, this is your opportunity to really lean in and listen and support yourself in a way that you maybe haven't before. And if something is coming up in your life, like you're noticing a pattern, I think I said this at the beginning, but if you're noticing a pattern of something coming up in your life over and over and over and over and over again, and you're not even looking for it, someone is trying to get you that message. You're receiving it. It's your job to actually take action on it. People say all the time, I just want a message. I just want to receive blah, 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 blah. You're probably getting it. You're getting these messages all the time, but it's your job to act on them when you are receiving. There is something that has been showing up in my field a lot lately, unannounced, unplanned. I have not been trying to summon this thing. Like I have, this is like the last thing that I thought would come into my field. And it is something that just keeps popping up. Like I keep seeing it on social media. Every single conversation I have with someone, like this thing pops up. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why? And I'm not going to say what it is yet because I'll probably end up doing a podcast episode on it later because I haven't done it yet. But the point is, I feel like now that I've leaned into this thing that's been coming up in my world and coming up in my reality over and over and over and over again, it's like this thing, the spirit of this thing is like calling me. You'll know when something is really calling you or like trying to get a message to you when you just start to see it. You just start to see connections. You start to see this message in all kinds of places. But you have to be present and intentional with your life to receive them. You have to be open. Your eyes have to be open enough to see them. So this is your reminder to just be open to whatever life has for you because it may really surprise you. And that's the most fun in life. Like that's when you get to have the most fun is when you're playing with life. You're playing with the different synchronicities that happen in your life. You're playing with the different messages that come up that you didn't plan on coming up. Just play with life. Play with what you're given, but really taking the time to notice. So, this was the full-on dental cavitation podcast episode that I've been waiting to share for a month now. And I really want to do one with my mom as well because she has had a very different experience, still very positive, still really great, but just different. And so I really want to have a conversation with her about her experience, about what she expected, all these things. So coming soon, TBD, her and I are going to have just like a really chill chat about it because I just know that there's going to be like so many other nuggets that come out of it, but I wanted to do one by myself first because there felt like there was just so many lessons that came out of my personal experience that I know she didn't have, and they felt really important to share. Whether there was something in here that triggered you to go get your mouth tested or go get this checked, which by the way, if you go to a regular dentist, they're going to call you crazy. They're going to say this isn't real. Don't go to a regular one. Biological dentists might give you the time of day. But truly, the only one I recommend is Nunnally, Freeman, and Owens in Marble Falls, Texas. They're the bomb. They're amazing. I love them. They're the best. So, as always, please follow, like, and subscribe, and send me a review for this podcast. If you are loving it, I love recording these for you. And it just brings me so much joy to share all of the experiences, lessons, and teachings that I have experienced in my life to really ignite and activate the same in you. Because that's what I'm here to do, is really to activate and guide you through your own journey with my personal experiences. Because it's been an interesting life. I am just so grateful that you came and listened to this episode today. And as you know, we just kind of roll with the flow around here. I'm getting better at rolling with the flow. Not so great at it yet, but we're getting there. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to the Oh My Gosh, You're Glowing podcast. And I cannot wait to see you in the next episode. See you later. Bye.